Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is another weather forecast discussion for January 21st, 2022. Of course, my name is Nate. I also go by Hockey Boy Nate. Today is the day into which the winter storm finally moves on through the mid-Atlantic, so we're not really going to waste a whole lot of time here. We're going to skip the satellite imagery and go straight to our warnings, watches, and advisories. And you can see here, we have a plethora of them over here, all the way from Georgia to as far north as even portions of Maryland. So if you are in the purple, or at least the kind of lavender, you're in a winter weather advisory. If you are in the pink, you are in a winter storm warning. And if you're over here in these purples, you're in an ice storm warning. So watch out for that, especially if you live towards places along Myrtle Beach, all the way to as far north as Jacksonville, North Carolina, with Wilmington being right in it, as well as I-40. So watch out for that if you guys can, because this winter storm is expecting to pack a punch. Now, at the time of me making this video, you can already see some of the wintry precipitation start to form across the board here, especially into some of these areas here of the pinks and blues. So watch out, as this is expected to continue all the way through until midnight. And we're actually going to go take a look to see if this wintry precipitation differs into one way or another with the weather models here in a second. But before we move into that, I just want to say thank you all so much for coming to my channel. I really do appreciate it. If you do enjoy the content that I provide, please be sure to leave a like on the video to help me get this information out to as many people as possible. And be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay up to date with all the information that I provide. And usually the weather, or the type of videos that I provide, which is weather content, is usually about life-threatening weather. So please be sure to stay tuned to that if you want to stay up to date with all the life-threatening weather situations here in the real world of North America. So first things first, we're going to start here in the general vicinity of Georgia and South Carolina. Of course, the timing is a bit of a luxury for you all, because you guys actually get it here at the top part of your screen in Eastern Standard Time. So it's already converted for you all. And the legend down below actually tells you what the type of precipitation is that you guys could get. So luckily for you all, you guys have your town names here, your city names, so you can actually attribute as to where or what precipitation actually moves on through during what time. So let's start on through here and notice how the precipitation really starts to expand here right around the time in which I'm making this video. It's about 6 Eastern, and this is right around the time in which the precipitation really starts to expand as frozen precipitation here from at least Columbia and near Augusta and further north. Charleston, South Carolina doesn't really get into the activity quite yet, if they even do so to begin with, but areas from Augusta all the way over towards like Myrtle Beach, you guys can start getting that wintry precipitation, and then this is expected to continue and even translate into some snow even after that. Look at this, some of the snow across some of the areas here from Augusta all the way up to Columbia and Florence by around 10 to 11 p.m., as well as some freezing rain gaining all the way towards the coastline here from Charleston, South Carolina, to as far north as towards portions of Wilmington. And we'll see that within the next scan here. But then you can see that as this pushes on through to around midnight, you can see how this actually starts to move out of view, specifically near Augusta, heading towards Columbia. That's when you guys can start to get out of the risk past midnight, specifically around 2 a.m., and then it'll really start to move on through out of the state, or at least both of these states, by early tomorrow morning. You might see some residual rain showers, but nothing too significant here according to this model. And so now we're going to move a little bit further north here towards portions of North Carolina and Virginia. You can see here as to how the precipitation really starts to fire off once again around that 6 to 7 p.m. time period. And you can see some widespread snow amounts, probably some flurries more than likely, with some amounts in upwards of 1 to 3 inches across much of upstate North Carolina here within this general vicinity. But the area to really watch out for if you are looking for snow, Virginia Beach, man. Virginia Beach and Norfolk, you guys could, in my opinion, honestly get 5 to 8 inches of snow. I would not doubt it for a second, so watch out for that. And then areas over here, look at this, Wilmington and Jacksonville. You guys need to watch out significantly, because there could be an absorbent amount of freezing rain across your general vicinity, and even on the western portions of the Outer Banks, you guys could potentially get some wintry precipitation, especially as this translates in towards the midnight time frame, and even after that. Once the precipitation and moisture starts to congeal itself right along this area from Myrtle Beach all the way up towards Jacksonville, look at this, some significant amounts of freezing rain and sleet is possible across much of these areas. And it won't be until early tomorrow morning, sometime around 5 to 6 a.m., is when this freezing rain actually starts to move on through your general vicinity. Now, what I want to do here is I want to show you the surface temperatures before we get into the nitty-gritty of how freezing rain and sleet actually occurs. I want to show you guys the general surface temperatures to show you all that this freezing rain could potentially last here for quite a little bit longer than most people anticipate. So let's show here from midnight here all the way until early morning hours how these temperatures continue to stay within this general area until about 10 to 11 when heating really starts to play a part. So this freezing rain, all these icy conditions probably will stay here all the way through until a little bit before noon, probably sometime around 10 to 11, to which then some of that freezing conditions could really start to thaw out and it could turn back into normalcy. So definitely something to monitor, especially during rush hour for whatever type of job you guys might have somewhere along the coastline here. If you guys are traveling in the early morning hours, there could be some very icy conditions across the board, and you might even see some power outages and downed trees too. So definitely something to watch out for with this. All right, so now let's take a look at the temperatures with height. So we're going to be taking a look at this from now on in Celsius, which is another temperature unit. So just keep in mind for that. The big thing here that you need to know, though, is that for Celsius, from this white line and upwards, that is below freezing. So that's when stuff actually turns from rain into snow, or you can just have stuff that starts to form into snow. So we're going to be taking a look at the 700 millibar level of the atmosphere, which is about 3 kilometers above ground level. And you can clearly see the freezing line right within here. This is about 9 p.m. tonight, which is around the time in which it starts to really become widespread with its freezing rain and sleet. Of course, it'll continue to still look like this even as it moves on past that, but still, this is just kind of to get an idea as to what the environment is going to be like within this general area, to show you guys as to where there could potentially be snow, where there could potentially be sleet and freezing rain, and then which areas are probably just going to get rain. So now let's switch this over towards the 850 millibar temperature, which is about 1 kilometer above ground level. And you can see that the line recedes very far up to the north. You can see that it actually goes just a little bit further north of Colombia, actually. And you can see that anywhere in between this black line and this yellow line, it goes from freezing to melting. So it actually takes it to where if you have any snow that forms above 3 kilometers, then it actually falls through down below 3 kilometers all the way to the 1 kilometer above ground level, and that actually gets into rain. So it melts from snow to rain, and then once we go down towards the surface, which is all in Fahrenheit, so lucky for you all, you can actually see that areas over here along the coastline of North Carolina and South Carolina, the temperatures are around 32 degrees. So this general area right here where this blue line is that I just drew is where you could anticipate the edge of the rain and freezing rain to potentially be. And anywhere in between this yellow line and this blue line is where you can anticipate some significant amounts of freezing rain, specifically if you're more along the coastline, so that way most of the moisture from the Atlantic Ocean actually gets channeled along that area. So definitely something to keep in mind with that as this continues to move on through. And with that, there could be potentially some freezing rain totals and upwards to about a half an inch to maybe even an inch of freezing rain possible. According to the NAM 3 kilometer model, which has actually been uptrending as of recent, you can actually see that most of this freezing rain actually congeals much along the coastline, as we have mentioned here a little bit earlier. So definitely something to watch out for. Of course, you could still see some freezing rain across portions of the border of South Carolina and Georgia, as well as areas towards Columbia and a bit further south towards Charleston. But otherwise, the main area to watch out for, in my opinion, would have to be from Myrtle Beach all the way through until Jacksonville, and then further up towards the north in between the Outer Banks and the mainland of North Carolina. So it's something to watch out for as this moves on through, according to the NAM. But if we go over to the Euro model, you can see that the Euro model is actually downtrended. We remember that the Euro model actually said that it was about 1.5 inches of ice that was potentially possible with this freezing rain event. Now it's only to about 3/4 of an inch of ice possible here, and they're actually signifying that it's more than likely from Myrtle Beach, which is a little bit further south, but in my opinion, it's from Myrtle Beach a little bit further off towards the north, towards like the Jacksonville area, to where you guys could potentially see over 1/2 inch of ice. So we're going to have to continue to monitor this as this moves on through, and you guys are really going to have to watch out for some travel tomorrow morning. And as for the snow here, I mean, look at this. Virginia Beach and Norfolk within this general area, you guys are in the purples, which means you guys could get from 5 to 8 inches of snow. 5 is right when it starts to get to that dark blue, and then 8 inches is when it starts to turn from that purple to the kind of pinkish color. It's not really fully pink, but it's kind of in between that. You guys can see that there definitely is some heavier amounts of snow that is potentially possible according to the NAM, and the Euro does agree. Take a look at this. You got this massive plume of purple right within there in northeastern portions of North Carolina, as well as the areas near Norfolk and Virginia Beach. So watch out, Virginia Beach. So watch out for that, as well as the potential for snow is still possible even if you aren't in the main areas. And I mean, look at this. The snow continues to elongate itself all the way through into South Carolina as well. 1 to 3 inches of snow is possible the further and further away you get from that, though, from that area in Virginia Beach. So just something to consider here as this moves on about. All right, so now we're going to get a little bit into the future here. We're going to look at what all is going to be happening here. We're going to take a look at the 500 millibar wind shear in order to do this. So we have our current very strong jet stream that is moving on through, creating our stationary boundary that is basically holding this entire winter storm in place for the most part until this low pressure system that is currently located in portions of the Great Lakes actually moves on through. You can tell this is a low pressure system because you can actually see a little dip in these isobars right within here. And whenever you see a little dip just like that, it usually means that there's a low pressure system. So knowing that, we can actually look to see if we can find any other low pressure systems. And we have another one right within here, somewhere over here along the border of Texas and Mexico. And then we have another developing low pressure system right within here that is over portions of the Rockies. So consider that as that moves on through. Don't really pay attention to these other low pressure systems right there and right there. Pay attention to this one right here, and then a new one that is going to develop near the Manitoba, Saskatchewan areas. So watch how this plays out. The low pressure system that's over the Great Lakes moves on through, and then we have the new developing low pressure system that's going to bring a shot of cold air as well as moisture within this general vicinity, meaning that there probably will be some snow across much of these areas here of the Midwest and the Great Lakes. So watch out for that, including Ontario. Maybe even Quebec could get into the action there as well. And then we have this new developing low pressure system that really starts to kind of zone in here sometime from Friday night into Saturday morning. I'd say specifically Saturday morning when it actually really starts to get its act together. And then this will begin to kind of start really getting its act together here as it moves on through past Saturday, all the way through towards the beginning of next week, to where this low pressure system then starts to move on into areas of Texas. And this is where people along the coastline of the Gulf of Mexico should particularly watch for some severe weather that is possible within this general area. Now, the severity of this is still relatively unknown. It looks like there isn't high amounts of energy for this thing to really start to materialize. But the thing of it is that the weird thing about winter is that you don't really need a whole lot of energy for storms to kind of fire off. So I'm just going to continue to watch as to how this thing continues to develop. I'll have a video that'll be uploaded tomorrow morning to show you guys as to what could potentially happen with this event later on. But for the most part, that seems to be the main thing to watch. And then these other low pressure systems that actually move on through that bring more and more snow across areas of the Great Lakes and the Midwest, as well as the Northeast, is the other thing to watch. But if you were to ask me as to when the next major storm could move on through, I'm not seeing it anytime soon. You might be able to see something within the span of the following week, because this is when there's another low pressure system that moves on through according to the Euro occurs. But even then, this is very far out of the model. This is within the span of a week to a week and a half out, and usually within that time frame, that's when things really start to be inaccurate. So I'm not really going to say a whole lot about this until we get a lot closer into view. And let's take a look at the simulated radar here from the Euro model just to see what I'm talking about here. You have another band of cold air that moves on through with some residual snow across much of the area there on Saturday into Sunday. You have a new low pressure system that begins to develop over here towards portions of Canada, and that will basically bring more and more snow across the area. You can also see that you have your new low pressure system that's over here in the Gulf of Mexico that'll bring your severe weather across. And this will basically just be an endless cycle of more low pressure systems bringing more snow into areas that have practically seen enough of it. I mean, look at this. More and more snow across this area. And then as this moves on through towards the area to watch, I mean, look at what the Euro says, man. What is this? What is this nor'easter that's moving on through? That is not legit. I mean, it is legit, but it's not legit. I mean, it's really far out. So we're just going to have to continue to watch as to how this thing continues to monitor. But I mean, it's really far out. So I can't say this is going to be here with exact certainty. I really can't. So that's going to be it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications, share this with friends and family and on social media. Also follow me on social media. Link will be in the description down below. I did say I would upload a video tomorrow morning, so please be aware of that. That means that there will be no video tomorrow night, and that would be the same thing for Sunday too. There will be a video on Sunday morning and not Sunday night as well. So consider that if you guys can. And yeah, our give it to me straight question of the day, and this is going to be something that is kind of a little bit off our give it to me straight question of the day, and this is going to be a little bit off the wall, so have an open mind here. But when do you think we will see our next winter storm? Do you think it's going to be sometime soon? Do you think it'll be sometime not so soon? Do you think we're not going to see any more winter storms? Let me know in the comments down below. If I find your answer the most intriguing, I'll pin you. So please be sure to do that, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.